You spend thousands of dollars on remote monitoring software thinking it's going to save you time, but there is a flaw in your schedule that you and your team are missing. Today, we're going to be talking about this flaw and an action item that will help you gain invaluable insights to it and help you correct it. So if you're ready, let's go.
Welcome to the Brian Wright Show, a podcast that transforms the lives and businesses of all entrepreneurs, but dedicated to doctors that own their own practice. And now your host. He's a husband, father of two, founder and CEO of New Patient Group and WrightChat, and a business consultant and speaker for Invisalign, OrthoFi, and others, Brian Wright.
Hey everybody, welcome inside the studio to the very first Quick Tips edition. And if you remember from the very first episode to kick off season 9, what these are is we're going to be going as close to 5 minutes as we possibly can, never above 10, but as close to 5. And it's going to just give you some quick action items and a quick thought that you can take back to your business, your practice, and get better. Now, what these also are going to do is maybe be a refresher to a past episode that I've done. What they also may be is kind of a precursor into a longer episode that I'm going to do in the future. And today is a perfect example of that. I am going to be doing a lot more around AI, remote monitoring, and there are several episodes coming this season and next that are going to be longer, more in-depth episodes about how to maximize your success with remote monitoring. Today is a good follow-up to the great episode and wonderful feedback that we had to kick off season 9 with episode 1 that came out a couple weeks ago, because it is going to briefly talk about AI and technology and kind of the way you feel about it, your bias towards it, how you look at AI is really going to stand in the way, potentially, of you making the mistake that I'm going to be talking about today. But even more so, it's going to stand in the way of you being able to correct the mistake that we're going to be talking about today. So if you're going to see an amazing return on the investment that you are making in remote monitoring and that remote monitoring offers, you must trust the AI, you must trust the technology, and you must trust the processes that these companies, regardless of the company that you use, have come up to make sure it's successful. You must also change your mindset from older ways of thinking to a new way of thinking. That means going away from why do we need to bring them in and move it towards how can we best leverage the technology at its fullest in order to not bring them in. And that is a major, major mindset shift for many of you out there, whether you are somebody that is all in on remote monitoring, because the practice that I'm going to be referencing today, as well as several others that I've seen this mistake being made in, they are all in on remote monitoring. It runs their practice. They're as innovative as you can think. And some of the most innovative practices I've ever worked with and ever had the privilege of coaching. Right? And this is also for people that are just dabbling in it. So this really is not a mistake that if you're just brand new to it that's being made. This is a mistake that is being made by practices that would never think that they are making the mistake that I'm going to be talking about today. So what is this mistake? And it's a scheduling error. And I am seeing it in countless practices time after time. But the last practice that I saw it in made me want to move this episode up in the list. And like I said, I think it's a good follow-up to the AI episode that we kicked off this season 9. So here is the mistake. Patients are in your chair that shouldn't be. This is a mistake, like I said, that's being made by practices that are all in with remote monitoring, practices that are just dabbling in it, and everywhere in between. So recently I was in a practice and we were working on our existing patient experience, and I was back in clinic and I was just chairside with the assistants, and I would be there for one appointment and I would move to another chair with a different assistant for another appointment. And we're in the process of completely changing that job role, as it's always been known in orthodontics and beyond, into more of a coaching role. And it is a significant change in job description. And it's all for the better, taking assistants and understanding that their role is not really a clinical assistant. It's just as much a sales, hospitality, verbiage presentation role as a treatment coordinator or receptionist and everybody else in a people-first business called orthodontics. right? So I asked the assistants, and one of the startling things about this is that the assistants, until I bring it up chairside, they are not recognizing, oh, yeah, this patient should not be here. So it happened 3 times in clinic the day that I was monitoring, which means it also happened a lot more, right? There's probably other chairs where this was the case. I just wasn't standing by that chair at the time. And I'm asking the assistants, let's look at this case. We're looking at the ClinCheck. Is everything tracking? And they would say yes. Okay, let's pull up. Let's look at the remote monitoring software. Are they being compliant? Are the scans coming in? Yeah, they're coming in, Brian. Okay, now let's look at, is there any sign of non-compliance, right? When you're looking at those scans, how's the hygiene, right? Are they wearing rubber bands if that's part of their treatment plan? All the stuff, right? And it's yes, 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 all right? Everything's tracking, right? Yes. All right, let's look at this. Let's look at that. And my question after they're answering yes to all these things is, why are they here? And the assistants would stop and they'd be like, my God, you're right. Like, why are they here? Look, we have a patient that is tracking fine. Everything is in order. They're compliant. This is an example of an appointment that was needed before we were using remote monitoring. Now that we're using remote monitoring, we don't need this appointment anymore. The mindset, and I see even the doctors who obviously you all know, tons of stuff, but unless your mind is looking for this stuff, it's easy, no matter how good you are clinically, how knowledgeable you are clinically, and how brilliant you are. These are things that are very easy to miss. And really the lesson is you have to trust the AI. If you're using a remote monitoring company that has that, you have to trust, if it doesn't have AI, you still have to trust the technology. Who you have as the remote monitoring coordinator has to be trained to look at the tech and say, how do we not bring them in order to maximize our chair time efficiency, profitability, and really most importantly, the experience for you, your team, and your patients and customers, right? The fewer times their schedule is disrupted, the better experience it is for them. And the more and more stats come out, it actually enhances compliance. Like this is a false bias, or it's a bias that is false as far as statistics prove, is that the more you bring them in is not going to enhance their compliance. In fact, the stats show that it's going to decrease, or it's going to increase the chances they're going to be non-compliant because you're disrupting their lifestyle. So the action item that I had this practice adopt was, one, talk about it. Have it on your mind, because if it's not on your mind, like I brought up chairside, the assistants are not going to realize it. So that's step one. Step two is you need to manually track these things, which I'm having this practice do, is literally have the assistants look for every appointment that's in their chair and really ask themselves, do they need to be here? And it is startling what you will find is that you have tons of patients that are on your schedule clogging up the chair time that do not need to be there if you are using remote monitoring properly. And you have to let go of the control. That's part of what makes remote monitoring great, is you can let go of the control and understand if everything's tracking, maybe they're there once a year, maybe they're there twice a year. And for many of you, that scares the hell out of you. But to me, that's beautiful. That is a beautiful thing that enhances the experience for you, your team, and your patients, and allows you to focus your attention on people that have necessary appointments, right? Have less chaos in the office. But it starts with this mindset of really looking for this, maximizing the technology, using the AI, or just using the technology the way it's designed, as well as manually tracking how many people are in your chair that, if you use the technology properly, should not be in your chair. And I think many of you out there will be startled how many appointments that actually is. So action item, have a conversation with your team, really be looking for it. Have a conversation with your team about it. And 3, track how many people are in the chairs every single day. Look at that stat every single month, and then use the remote monitoring technology properly to eliminate and make your schedule more efficient and therefore more profitable. Hope everybody enjoyed this. As always, give us a nice thumbs up on YouTube, make some comments, share with friends, colleagues, anybody wanting to transform life and/or business. And if you're listening on the Audio Experience channels, hope you enjoyed this very first quick tip episode. Leave us a 5-star review on whatever Audio Experience channel you listen to. Until next time, we'll see you back soon.